Geothermal energy is the natural heat of Earth derived from the decay of the radioactive element in the Earth crust and transferred to the subsurface by conduction and convection. Geothermal energy uses can be divided into three categories, which is direct use applications, geothermal heat pump, and geothermal power plant. The first advantage of geothermal energy is that it is good for environment. Geothermal energy is also a reliable source of renewable energy. It is also have high efficiency of geothermal systems. The geothermal heat pump systems use 25% to 50% less electricity than conventional systems, and the last one is that it requires little to no geothermal system maintenance. The pump can usually last for at least 20 years. The disadvantage of geothermal energy is the environmental concern about the greenhouse emission. However, the amount of gas released is significantly lower than in case of fossil fuels. The possibility of depletion of geothermal sources, a high initial cost for individual households. Being able to earn the investment back within 2 to 10 years. It is not enough just to purchase the geothermal systems, but you also need to own the land next to the house to use it. And that's meant it is hard to be implemented for homeowners in big cities unless vertical ground source heat pump is used.
Geothermal energy would have social impact during each step of the project. Social effect can be seen as shift in people's ways of life, culture, social structure, security, services, and also facilities. It is common and proper practice to improve social acceptance for the geothermal development in a new region. A public relations and outreach program should be established, intended to educate and inform the authorities and also the stakeholders. There are some criteria that have potential to cause social resistance, such as the placement of project baseline, health and safety, and also precaution, and also consultation with local communities if the project has potential to displace local people. Compared to other conventional energy sources, the development of geothermal energy doesn't cause severe impact of the social aspect. All of the non-social impacts of the geothermal development can be prevented right from the beginning of the project.
So, we already know that when geothermal power plants are installed, there will be an expenditure on utilities and facilities as well as tax and royalties. So, such expenditures stimulate additional indirect employment, more economic development, and also higher tax revenues. So ultimately, this reduces the burden on individual taxpayer in the community, also for the country. Basically, the United States has the largest geothermal energy capacity in the world, followed by the Philippines, Indonesia, and also the Japan. However, the generation of geothermal energy requires a very high initial cost and entails a high risk of development which hinders its production. So this can be said as one of the obvious impact of the geothermal energy to be used for the economy. So there is a clear difference between those countries with policies that help the regulated energy markets and those that do not. So one of the most important economic aspect of geothermal energy is that it is produced from indigenous resources, which reduce the reliance of our nation on imported energy and thus reduce trade deficits. So by reducing these trade deficits, it eventually keep our money more and promoting healthy economies as well. So nearly half of the US annual trade deficit will be eliminated if imported oil with domestic energy resources were replaced in addition. So there is a large foreign demand for domestically produced geothermal energy related. So numerous states throughout the United States are now looking to increase their use of geothermal energy and recognize the multiple benefits such as diversity of energy. So it can be said that numerous states throughout the United States are now looking to increase their use of geothermal energy and recognize the multiple benefits such as diversity of energy supply, growth, efficiency, attractiveness to the environment, economic development. So some states have been able to admit that money spent on electricity leave the community in several cases. according to outside utilities or energy providers. So there is no longer the same funding available to stimulate local economic development. So this is why some of the US economy are broken up into three components, which are direct impacts, indirect impacts, and induced impacts.
There are a few case studies which is positive and negative that I'll be presenting on the portrayal of the political acceptance. Okay, coming into the first case study, the geothermal development in Macedonia. After first getting positive results from geothermal development during the energy crisis of the state at 70s, the stable and long-lasting socialist government kept the support for development and maintained very positive results during the 80s of the last century. However, in the 90s, the political and economic transition of the country came, and then destabilizing the political situation with short-lasting political careers. All the politicians were not interested in doing so, hence they stopped the project. Second one is the geothermal development in Italy. Italy has always been one of the world leaders in geothermal development. However, the main interest of Italy's geothermal energy has always been directed towards power production. Presently, one can identify two situations caused by the lack of political support, but I'll be explaining one. The first one, the main one, is privatization of Enel. Enel is Italian national utility of electricity production, resulted with orientation towards cheaper solutions. Hence, this is one of the major program that they've invented, but then they've stopped it halfway because of lack of budget. So this shows that you need money to continue making geothermal developments. Hence, for the third one is the geothermal development in Iceland. Because of their success in maintaining their geothermal energy power plant, and with the continued support of the state government and the political support, hence they are continuing it without having a negative thought on that. That's one of the countries that still maintaining geothermal energy. Okay, from the case and history discussion presented above, some important conclusion can be drawn into connecting the relationship between public opinion and development of geothermal energy used in a specific area or region. First and foremost, the most important one is public opinion, which crucially influences the condition for the geothermal development. To conclude, political support for geothermal development is important for two reasons. One is as a support to get the public acceptance, and second is the support to get necessary state support for the initial development phase. Presently, geothermal energy does not have strong enough political support in most of the countries, even by having a lot of advantages in implementing it.
Geothermal energy causes very little damage to the environment, as to its negative and positive effects is mostly depending on how it is converted to useful energy. One of the major advantages is cutting down carbon emission rate. Geothermal power plants have no issue when it's coming to meeting clean air standards, as its emission is 99% lesser when it's compared to fossil fuel. With geothermal energy, there won't be an issue of depletion of energy, as it is produced from the Earth's core itself. The heat produced from the Earth's core produces heat, which acts as the major source in geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is a very reliable energy source, as we can predict its output with a remarkable accuracy. The output is usually what it is promised earlier in the process, and there's not much loss throughout it. However, there are several negative impacts when it comes to geothermal energy generation. The major issue is land subsidence, where the land surface sinks in due to the removal of water from the geothermal reservoirs. But this problem can be mitigated if the wastewater is re-injected back into the reservoirs after the water heat has been captured. Geothermal plants are often at geological hotspots where there are higher tendency of earthquakes occurring. The enhanced geothermal systems that are similar to natural gas hydraulic fracturing often contributes to this risk. However, this risk can be reduced by minimizing the seating plant at an appropriate distance from major fault lines.
Thank you.